Hello, friends. I feel like I could have done this video on Tuesday and I would have known what I was doing. And today I forgot entirely what I was going to talk about. So you'll see my eyes going off camera as I look at my calendar and stuff to try to remember what I wanted to say. Um, I think it's been a better week than last week, but the world is in a mess, and I'm seriously considering not watching the news or reading the news because it's crazy everywhere, and I think that's a cop out. I think I should not do that. I think I should remain well informed, but I've been experiencing crippling fatigue, and I always blame my fatigue on my disease because one of the major symptoms of ulcerative colitis is that you have fatigue, mostly because you don't derive the right amount of nutrition from your food. So it's like starving, except that I'm still fat. Yay! But yeah, so um, I don't want to cut myself off from the world, but there's just so much shit going on that I'm worried about. And I'm not worried about for me necessarily. I mean, strangely, our business is off a little bit because of the pandemic, but not a lot. I mean, we're not doing as well as we did last year, but we're still doing better than we did in 2018. Like, I keep getting angry at the numbers, the our daily average. But our daily average, if we had this daily average in 2018, I would have done back handsprings. So, it's all relative. I can pay my bills. I just don't have as much left over when I do. And yeah, and I'm talking to you today, Sunday, and all my bills are due tomorrow. um, yeah, it's kind of weird here in the Netherlands. I mean, obviously your rent is due at the end of the month, but your electricity bill and your gas bill and your health insurance and all the monthly bills, the big monthly bills that come, they're all due like on the 24th, 25th of the month, and you can't spread them out. Like, they decide when they're going to send them to you. And I've talked to other Dutch people and they're just like, yeah, 25th of the month we all go and pay our bills. So I just find it, I'd somehow rather pay one of them, two of them, than one of them the first week of the month and another one the third week of the month or something to space them out. But ultimately, it's a system that works for people who get paid weekly and people who get paid biweekly and people who get paid monthly. So at the end of the month, the assumption is everyone's going to have their monthly salary. So yeah, whatever. But it just means I'm getting hit at the same time for everything. And I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. For 20 years, I haven't pulled a paycheck from anywhere, and I am hysterical every month this week of every month of the last 20 years. So, it's all right. And we're not starving to death. I'm just drawing more out of the savings than I'm happy about. And that's all. And if I have savings to draw out of, that's still good. I am starting to worry about not having savings to draw out of. But I bought some new clothes this week, so shut up, Cass. If you're so worried about your savings, don't buy clothes. But the good news is I had to buy clothes because I am thinner. I went to see my tailor on Tuesday, which is the first time I've seen her since January, I think, because of the pandemic and everything. And then she's from Latvia, and she was home in Latvia for a while. And then she was sick. And then most of her business is bridal gowns. So everybody who canceled their weddings in March and April then, got on the phone with her in May and were like, oh my God, you have to make my gown really quick now. So she had like 6 bajillion bridal gowns and bridal parties to outfit over the summer. So I finally got to see her, which was terrific. And I walked in and she said, take off those pants, I have to fix them. Because she's a tailor and my pants were droopy, and my hem I must have stepped on my hem. I tore my hem, and she just couldn't stand me standing there. She's like, go in there and sit and I'll fix these and then we'll talk. So she fixed my pants on the fly. And, now I have, and now she's making me some tops, which will fit me, even if I lose weight, because they have ties on the side so you can tie them a little tighter and stuff. I found that my left arm and that is not my dominant arm. But my left arm is a full centimeter bigger than my right arm, which makes no sense. Usually your dominant arm is bigger because that's the arm you use, so you have a bigger muscle. But my left arm, which is the arm I haven't been using for months because of my shoulder problem, is bigger. And this really shows up in some of the blouses I have, that this arm will be tight and slightly unpleasant, but this arm will be like skin on a sausage. And it's disgusting and I hate it. And, we went to tango and I had to put my bad arm up on Bob's shoulder and my sleeve was too tight and it was all kind of exasperating. And then tango is exasperating because we've been dancing tango for probably 10 years, but we've been doing, American ballroom tango. And if you look, maybe on Facebook, maybe somewhere on the internet, there are videos of us dancing tango at a friend's wedding. I think that was 2010. And also at the Browncoat Ball in Virginia Beach in 2015. So there was documentary evidence of me knowing how to dance tango, but it's American ballroom tango, which is, all ballroom and your head is away like this and frame and all that. And Argentine tango, your bodies are, you're bent forward at the waist and your heads are together, which, ballroom, you dance like this. And Argentine, you dance like this, which is weird. And I've danced a lot of dances in my life, and I've never been told to look down. Normally when you dance, you look up, you look out. And to look down, it screws up your balance because you're looking down. And, one of the first things you learn partner dancing is don't look at your feet. And so here I am looking at my feet. It's weird. And my balance is all off and I'm leaning on Bob and I shouldn't really be leaning on him. And you're supposed to be taking cues and then your bodies are offset normally when you dance. In Argentine tango, you're straight in front of each other. So this was our second tango lesson. And the first two tango lessons, they're just kind of teaching you how to move. And so this was the first lesson that we actually danced in frame with our partners. And we got in frame and, and then we felt like, oh yeah, we can do everything now because the dog is chewing on her foot and I'm trying to stop her from chewing on her foot. So that's why I keep getting strangely close to the camera because she's sitting on me. And, so, we're used to being in frame and we knew that we felt comfortable in frame. So we got into frame and then we're like, oh, we know how to do this. And the instructor came over and went, what are you doing? We're dancing. It's like, what dance are you doing? Tango? And he said, no. And you are, oh, it's supposed to be like this and this. And it's just so different. It's so different. And you feel like an idiot. And when you dance and you go to a new dance class, usually you can carry over some skills. I mean, all partner dances are different, but usually there's something there. And people who dance another kind of dance usually are good at the new dance because they've danced partner dancing before. But this is just like, everything you know is wrong. Unlearn everything you know. Take all that muscle memory and discard it entirely. And so first you feel like just a fucking idiot. And then, the instructor comes up and says, no, but you look really good. I'm like, so good that you had to ask me what I was trying to do when it's clear I'm trying to dance. So that was, but hey, I was at tango class and I dressed nicely. I had on a 30s skirt and blouse, and even though the blouse was tied on my left arm only, and I felt good. I felt dressy, even though I have no idea how to dance clearly. But it's been kind of a tough week. I haven't walked all week. The weather hasn't been great. I mean, I swam twice this week, and then it became cold and rainy, and you can heat the pool all you like, but if you can't walk from the pool to the house without freezing to death, I mean, not freezing to death, it's 65 degrees, but it's too cold to get out of a pool, and it was windy and rainy too, so I mean, I will swim in the rain if it's warm, but if it's cold, it's painful because it's just drops of cold water hitting you on the head. So I swam a couple times this week. I started doing an hour-long Pilates class, which is brutal, but it's private. So she doesn't do anything I can't. She doesn't ask me to do anything I can't do, and I mean, she pushes me. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like I'm trying to keep up with other people in the class who have been doing it longer, or that I'm trying to do things that I mean, my shoulder is much better, but I still can't raise my arm over my head. So I have shoulder limitations. And I found out, I don't know if you can see because it's dark behind me, but this shoulder is like normal. And this shoulder just goes like as if the bone moved down, it just goes down. So, which is, I'm not kidding that I have a serious shoulder issue. And my physio thinks I'm doing lots better and everything. But, this is, we're coming up on 6 months of this, and that's the shortest time that it ever gets better. And so I'm getting better, but I'm not out of the woods. And it's going to be a while. But I said to my Pilates instructor, once I get total shoulder, once I get back total shoulder mobility, we need to work on making this side look like this side, because this side looks like hell. And which is funny because I'm a person who, like, spaghetti straps, bra straps, that kind of stuff fall off my shoulders because I have sloped shoulders anyway. But this one, it used to be this one was the one that everything fell off of, and now this one, just, you can't keep anything on the shoulder, it just falls off. It's like, why even have it? I need to put a big shoulder pad there or something, dude. But the reality is I need to work both my shoulders equally. And right now I can't work both my shoulders equally because this one is impinged. So, that'll happen. And so my shoulder's doing better, my knee's doing better. But I haven't walked this week at all because the weather, when the weather got cold, the weather got windy and rainy at the same time. So it wasn't just like, oh, it's a little chillier. And it was drastic. It went from like 20 degrees to like 13, which is 70 degrees to, like, I suppose high 50s, but still it's a big drop. And it was windy and rainy, and maybe walking against a headwind, and who needs that? So, and I've been having terrible fatigue, and as I was saying before, I normally ascribe, subscribe, prescribe, I scribe my fatigue to my disease, and I did have another flare this week, which sucks, but I think I ate something that caused it. It wasn't just, oh, why did that happen? And am I going to have more flares now? So I haven't eaten that thing since, and my system has been totally okay. But yeah, fatigue. Bob told me that he'd read an article where, and I think it was in like Psychology Today or something, where psychologists were positing that people who have empathy for other people were experiencing physical fatigue recently because of the many different fucked up things in the world right now. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I do take other people's problems on, and it doesn't help them. If I could take their problems on and then their problems would be less for them, that would be a thing to do. But I don't. I take their problems on, and then it makes me hurt. And it doesn't help them either. So what the hell's the point? If you're going to be empathic, at least, take some of their burden. But but so I do that. And I don't mean to do that. And I have friends who tell me, don't do that, but it's like, oh yeah, I'll just flip the switch. I don't know where the switch is. So, which is why I was talking about just not watching the news, my friends have problems and I can deal with the private, personal problems of my friends. But to have to deal with that against the backdrop of all the shit that's going on in the world, I just want to deal with, my friends' privately, not the whole world. But yeah, so this whole idea that my fatigue might have something to do with my empathy is disturbing, because I would far prefer my fatigue to be caused by my disease, a disease that I cannot control. Um, and then therefore I can't control the incidence of my fatigue, rather than the fatigue being caused by me having a heart. Um, because I feel like in a real way I'm doing that to myself. And it feels more than a little bit like other people are suffering and I'm not, so I'm going to pretend I'm suffering. And I know I'm not pretending I have fatigue. I the days that I have fatigue, it's weird. It's like somebody unplugged you from the wall and you just, you lose your charge and you can't recharge. And um, it just feels like you're starved, and you can't do anything. And sometimes you can't sleep either. You just can't pick your head up, but you can't do anything. You can't form a cogent thought. And thank God I don't work for anyone else anymore, because they would have fired me 16 times over already. But somehow blaming it on my disease makes it over there. I don't control that. That's just something I have to deal with in my daily life, and I've learned to deal with. I've been dealing with it for years, so that's okay. But having it be, oh, it's because I'm worried about my friends. Like, oh, isn't that nice? Your friend's going to get thrown out of his house this week, and you're so worried you can't help him move. Now, granted, I don't live where my friends live, so me helping him move would take a plane ticket to a country that I'm not allowed to enter at the moment. So, not really a problem. But you see what I'm saying? It feels like I'm one of those people that's like, oh, I have problems too. I don't want to be. I have problems too. I want to be. I want to be strong for people. I want to be strong for me, and yeah, just not right now. And having a lot of fatigue issues, and I'm also not walking. So when I walk regularly, my fatigue goes away, and I haven't been walking because my knee was screwed up. I was swimming, and that was keeping things at bay. But nothing really works like walking. And now it's raining, so I'm not walking today either. But maybe tomorrow. And I'm dancing. I mean, keeping your arms up in frame for an hour. You would not believe how hard that is. Just walk around with your arms up like this for a solid hour, and you'll see it's not easy. And I'm doing hour-long Pilates sessions rather than half hour, so that's an addition to my fitness thing. And I lost some weight, so I'm happy about that. I want to continue losing weight. Because the less weight I have on my joints, the better things are going to work. My physio said to me this week, you have an inflammatory disease, and that affects your joints. Know that affects your joints. And I said, yeah, I know. And he said, yeah, trying to heal a frozen shoulder when you have this level of inflammation anyway is a little harder than a person who doesn't have an inflammatory disease. So, hey, yay, sucks. And it doesn't help that I'm just not the kind of person who wants to sit around and watch TV. I want to go out and do things. I want to be active. And it's the time of year I should be riding horses, but I'm kind of holding back. I'm holding back right now because I've got a screwed up shoulder. And if I get thrown from a horse, it's going to be way more screwed up. And I do get thrown from horses on a regular basis. I usually land on my butt though, yeah, I'm waiting until my shoulder is totally better to get back to that. But I did go to the horsey store and, goo over things. Horsey store in Belgium, where even the horses were wearing masks. So, what else did I want to say? I want to say something about health and fitness and dressing and, I don't know. Ilsa making me stuff. making me new clothes, me having to take my clothes in, buying new clothes. Oh, blah, blah, blah. If only I had a brain. Um, yeah, one of the problems with sitting here because the weather's bad or my body isn't letting me move is that you think too much and and that's depressing. So I don't do anything. I don't get out. Although this week I feel like I've gotten out more. Oh, yeah, that's it. I went to Tel Cafe, which is a language exchange at the bibliothèque, the library in town. Um, and I talked to an older man in Dutch, and he's my TAL coach, he's my language coach. And this is the first time that we talked, just the two of us. And so, I talked to him in Dutch for an hour and we had a great time and it was a lot of fun. And then when I went to my physio on Friday, normally we speak in English because, I don't know enough Dutch, I think. I don't know enough Dutch to really explain symptoms and things like that. And he has other English speaking clients, so he likes to speak English. So, a person came out of his exam room and they said goodbye to each other in the typical Brabant way of saying goodbye. And then he said good morning to me in English. And I said, you could talk Brabant to me as well. And so then he did. And then we had the entire physio thing, not the entire, about half of the physio thing where we just spoke Dutch to each other. And he was like, do you need me to slow down? Are you getting everything I said? And I went, no, I'm understanding everything you say. And he said, yeah, you have a really big vocabulary. And I was like, do I? Because, my complaint is always I don't have the words I want to use. But apparently, when talking about my screwed up shoulder, because I've talked about my screwed up shoulder with my Dutch teacher, I know all the words to say my shoulder is screwed up. Um, so that's good. And so I spoke Dutch in a real world situation twice this week, which is, I mean, I have a Dutch lesson every night online, and so I speak Dutch every night. But to have two in-person interactions in Dutch, I felt like Jesus. I think I know how to talk suddenly. Not suddenly, been hammering at it, every single night since January. Um, but I was kind of beating myself up because I was watching something, and oh, I know what I was watching. I was watching a TV program that's in Welsh. I was beating myself up for not speaking Welsh. Who but me beats themselves up for not speaking Welsh? I speak 5 languages, not Welsh. Um, and then I sat down and I went, okay, I want to look at something. And I don't speak 5 languages. I speak 9 languages because I went and listened to some videos online of people speaking Scots Gaelic, and Manx or Manx Gaelic. And they are different from Irish, but they are not so different that I don't understand them. And so that's two. And then I went and investigated Flemish and Afrikaans. And Afrikaans is different than Dutch, but it is mutually intelligible. Like a Dutch person can speak to a speaker of Afrikaans and they'll understand each other. They'll use some words and they'll both go, well, that's weird. What you just said was weird. But they'll not perfectly understand each other, but they often say it's like American English and British English because the Afrikaners were Dutch who went to South Africa, and the language diverged, but it hasn't diverged so much that you can't understand Dutch. There are some conjugations that are different, and there's some Afrikaans is simpler than Dutch. It's kind of thrown out some of the more complicated vocabulary and some of the verb forms. But there's no reason why I couldn't say I speak Afrikaans, or at least I understand Afrikaans. Um, and Flemish, I looked at a list of words, Flemish words, up next to standard Dutch words, and it seems like I speak more Flemish anyway. I don't know. I live in the south of the Netherlands, right? I mean, I could walk to Belgium from my house. Belgium is right there, and it it's not strange that I would speak a more Belgian. Well, it is, though. This is the thing. I mean, I learned from Dutch books, and my Dutch teacher is from the Netherlands, and everyone I speak to is from the Netherlands, and sometimes they speak more Dutch to me, more Dutch to me than they do to each other. To each other, they speak a little more Brabantse, but I understand Brabantse because I hear it all the time in town. Brabant is the province I live in. I live in North Brabant, and there's also the South Brabant. I don't know. The other part of Brabant is in Belgium, so that's not unusual. But there's province of Antwerp is between us and the other province of Brabant, so I don't know. But yeah, looking at this list of words, it was like, oh, and French fries are called patats in or patata in Dutch. Well, I call them frites, frietjes. That's what Belgians say. But like I said, Belgium's right there, so of course we call them frietjes because Belgium's invented them. I will call them what they call them. But yeah, so there are things, and I'm not so heavy on the Dutch G, and Belgians aren't so heavy on the Dutch G. So yeah, so I was beating myself up about basically wasting 2 years with Dutch and not studying any other languages. And then I decided to take a recount and decide that I speak 9 languages, not 5. So yay! If at first you don't succeed, move the goalpost. But no, legitimately, if a person who spoke nothing but Flemish or nothing but Afrikaans or nothing but Scots Gaelic spoke to me, I would be able to understand them and communicate. So I'm counting 9, and that's going to make me feel better for a little bit. And I'm going to keep up with my daily Dutch lessons, at least until January, because then that will have been a full year of daily Dutch lessons. And I'm hoping by that point to, well, if it hadn't been for the pandemic, in March, I would have started going out with the neighbor ladies who go and take their dogs for a walk down to the cafe and have coffee on Wednesday afternoons and then come back. I would have been, I was like on the verge of them asking me when the pandemic hit, and then everything got closed, so we couldn't go. And at this point now, I think they've forgotten entirely that I was starting to study Dutch, or, they have no idea where I am with it. And I'm not bumping into people. I'm not bumping into my neighbors in town. I'm bumping into people I know from the bibliothèque. And I'm continuing my French. My French is every other week, so it's this week. And, I'll go speak to my Dutch guy for an hour, and then a half an hour later, go and try to speak French and fail miserably. But it'll be okay. That's the kind of torture that I like. So yeah, it's, had a flare, have been suffering from fatigue, not really pleased about it. I feel like I'm not going forward, but if I look at the measuring tape, the numbers of hours put into study, if I look at numbers, if I look at things I can count, things I can measure, I am making progress, and I have to remind myself of that, because it doesn't feel like anything. But I did feel like I was a Dutch speaker this week. I didn't at any point have to say, wait, stop, slow down. I didn't understand that. There was one point where I just kind of blanked, and my physio said, should I speak more slowly? And I said, no, I just was zoned out. Could you just say it again? And he said it again, and he said it really quickly, and I understood him. It's just I wasn't paying attention. Sometimes you don't. So yeah, so I feel like I'm making progress. I don't feel like I'm making progress as fast as I want to, but the world is not doing anything as fast as we want to right now. So I'm learning patience, and I'm not making as many videos as I would like. I was supposed to work on them last weekend, and I was sick, and I was supposed to work on them this weekend, and I just had no energy to do it. But no one's dying because I didn't put up a new video on YouTube. But I have one that all I have to do is record some voiceover over some pictures. I have the beginning and the end already recorded, And if I do the middle part, then I could splice it together and put it up on YouTube this week. And that's what I'm going to do. So if you watch my other YouTube channel, Reconstructing History YouTube channel, I'm going to try to do that by Wednesday. I'll say that. I'm going to do it by Wednesday. So please hop over there and give it a like. And I'll try to make next week better. Thanks for watching. See you next time.